Let me ask you something really honest. Have you ever sat in a room full of people and felt like you didn't belong? Like everyone around you was laughing at jokes you didn't find funny, talking about things you didn't care about. And you sat there quietly wondering, what's wrong with me? Nothing, absolutely nothing is wrong with you. In fact, and I need you to hear this, what you've been calling your weirdness, your overthinking, your inability to just fit in, might be the clearest sign that your mind works at a level most people will never reach. Today, I'm going to show you signs of high intelligence that nobody talks about. Not the IQ test stuff, not the school grades, the real ones. The ones that live quietly inside you, that you've probably been ashamed of your whole life. So stay with me, because by the end of this video, you might finally understand yourself in a way you never have before. You know what's funny? We've been taught our whole lives that intelligence looks a certain way. It looks like straight A's. It looks like quick answers. It looks like confidence in a room. But that's not intelligence. That's performance. Real intelligence, deep, rare intelligence. It looks a lot messier. It looks like staying up until 3 a.m. because you can't stop thinking about a question nobody else even asked. It looks like caring too much when everyone else has moved on. It looks like feeling things so deeply that sometimes it's almost painful. And here's the first sign. You feel emotions intensely. Not just sometimes, all the time. Most people think emotional sensitivity is the opposite of intelligence. They say, stop being so emotional like it's a flaw. But researchers have found something fascinating. Highly intelligent people feel more. They pick up on subtleties in a room that others completely miss. They sense when something is off before anyone says a word. They carry the weight of other people's feelings without even meaning to. If you've ever cried at a song nobody else cared about, if you've ever felt someone else's pain in your chest like it was your own, that's not weakness. That's your brain processing the world at a depth others simply can't access. Here's another one, and this one hits different. You ask why constantly, and it drives people crazy. As a kid, maybe you were the one always asking questions. Not to be difficult, because you genuinely needed to understand. You couldn't just accept because that's how it is. You needed the reason behind the reason. And maybe people got frustrated with you. Maybe a teacher once told you to just follow the rules. Maybe you grew up thinking curiosity was annoying. But here's what they didn't tell you. That relentless need to understand. Why is one of the rarest traits a human being can have? It means your brain refuses to settle for surface-level explanations. It means you're always digging, always searching, always hungry for something deeper. Most people take the world as it is. You've always needed to know why the world is the way it is. That difference is everything. Now let's talk about something a little painful. You've always found it hard to connect with most people. Not because you're arrogant, not because you don't care, but because the conversations that everyone else seems to enjoy, they leave you feeling empty. Small talk feels exhausting. You'd rather have one real conversation than 100 shallow ones. And that loneliness you felt, that feeling of being surrounded by people but still feeling unseen, that's one of the heaviest parts of having a mind that works differently. But here's what I want you to understand. You're not broken. You're not antisocial. You're just operating on a frequency that not everyone can hear. The people who truly connect with you, when you find them, it feels like home. Because they see you, all of you. And those connections, even if they're rare, are worth more than 1,000 surface-level friendships. You think in possibilities, not just reality. This one is quiet but powerful. Most people see the world as it is. You see the world as it could be. When you look at a problem, your brain immediately starts generating solutions. When things go wrong, some part of you is already a few steps ahead, thinking about what comes next. People might call you a dreamer. They might tell you to be more realistic, but that ability to imagine what doesn't exist yet, that's literally how every great thing in human history was created. Someone looked at the world and thought, it doesn't have to be this way. That someone has always been you. Here's one that might surprise you. You have a deep sense of justice, and injustice genuinely hurts you. When you see something unfair, even if it doesn't affect you personally, you feel it. You can't just ignore it and move on. You feel a frustration, sometimes a rage, that other people don't seem to share. That's not you being dramatic. That's moral intelligence. The ability to recognize what's right and wrong beyond just what's convenient for you. That requires a level of thinking that most people simply don't engage in. You've probably been told you care too much, that you take things too seriously. But a world without people who care too much? That's a world that never changes. You struggle with self-doubt, even when you're clearly capable. Oh, this one. This one I want to sit with for a moment. Some of the most intelligent people in the world are paralyzed by self-doubt. They second-guess themselves constantly. They feel like imposters. Like one day, someone's going to figure out that they're not as smart as people think. There's actually a name for it: imposter syndrome. And study after study shows it hits highest performers the hardest. You know why? Because intelligent minds are aware of how much they don't know. They can see their own gaps. They understand complexity, and that awareness, while sometimes painful, is itself a mark of a sophisticated mind. The person who never doubts themselves has stopped growing. You doubt yourself because you care, because you're always holding yourself to a higher standard, because you know there's always more to learn. Don't let that doubt make you small. Let it make you hungry. You notice things others don't, little things. The way someone's voice changed when they said they were fine, the detail in a painting that everyone else walked past, the inconsistency in a story that everyone else accepted. Your brain is always running in the background, picking up signals, making connections, filing things away. It's exhausting sometimes, honestly, but it's also extraordinary. That level of awareness, of your environment, of people, of patterns, that is rare. That is intelligence in its purest form. And the last one, maybe the most important one, you've never stopped learning. Even when nobody made you, not to pass a test, not to impress anyone, just because something interested you and you had to know more. You've read articles at midnight for no reason. You've gone down rabbit holes that had no practical value. You've learned things just for the joy of knowing them. That intrinsic love of learning, that is the heartbeat of a truly intelligent mind. Schools can teach information, but they cannot teach that hunger. That's something you were born with. So here's what I want to leave you with. You have spent too long thinking that the way your mind works is a problem to fix. Too much feeling, too much thinking, too much depth, too much questioning. But what if it was never a problem? What if it was always a gift? One that you just hadn't learned to recognize yet. The world needs minds like yours. Minds that feel deeply, think carefully, question everything, and refuse to accept that this is just how it is. You are not too much. You never were. If this video made you feel something, if even one of these signs felt like someone finally put words to something you've carried for years, and then please share it with someone who needs to hear it. Because somewhere out there, someone is sitting alone right now, thinking they're too different, too sensitive, too much. And maybe this video is exactly what they need. Hit that subscribe button if you want more content that actually goes deep. Because on this channel, we don't do shallow. Drop a comment below and tell me which sign hit you the hardest. I read every single one. And remember, the way your mind works is not a flaw. It never was. I'll see you in the next one.